Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about a recent controversy that has emerged in Bengal related to the statue on the gates of Lord Curzon. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss about what is this whole controversy all about, who was Lord Curzon and what about his contribution as far as the history of India is concerned. So we try to understand the context in which we are discussing today's issue. So the controversy is regarding to a 119-year-old Curzon gate that was actually set up in the Bardhaman district, which is presently in the state of West Bengal, and it is this Curzon gate which is at the center of political row. So the controversy basically has arisen after Trinamool Congress, that is currently the ruling party led by Mamata Banerjee in the West Bengal. So TMC run Bardhaman municipality has basically decided to erect a statue of the Bardhaman's Maharaja Vijay Chandra Mahtab and his wife Radharani in the front of the city's prominent landmark. The city's prominent landmark that we are discussing about is none other but the Curzon Gate. Now, incidentally, the Curzon Gate was also erected in year 1903 by the same Maharaja Vijay Chandra Mahtab when Lord Curzon was visiting the Bardhaman region. And as you can see from this particular picture, this is the Curzon Gate that we are talking about. So, why controversy? What is the controversy here? So, basically, a lot of politicians, historians and even heritage experts believe that such a decision to erect a statue just in front of Curzon Gate or near the Curzon Gate will be basically block the view of Curzon Gate, block the view of the structure, and that is why this is not a right decision or not a right place to erect the statue. So, that is the whole controversy all about. So, since the Lord Curzon is in news, and as we know that UPSC has this pattern of asking questions related to history generally from those areas which keeps coming news every now and then. So, it is very much possible that in next year prelims or mains examination the Lord Curzon based questions can be asked. So, let us try to understand briefly about who was Lord Curzon. So, Lord Curzon was basically born as George Nathaniel Curzon in year 1859 in England, and he was he did his schooling as well as his university degree he took from the very elite institutions such as Eton and Oxford. Overall, after completing his university education, he joined the politics and he became a member of Conservative Party of Britain. So, basically what we can say that he was a British conservative politician. As you know, Great Britain had two parties and currently the United Kingdom also has two parties. One is the Labour Party, other is the Conservative Party. So, Lord Curzon belonged to the Conservative Party. After when he became a member of Conservative Party, later on if we try to understand that how did Lord Curzon came to India. So, first of all, his association with India began in year 1891 when for 1 year he served as Under Secretary of State for India in the British government. Further on, his position was elevated and between 1895 to 1898 he became the Under Secretary of Foreign Affairs in General for the Great Britain, and later on in 1899 he was deputed or he was appointed as a Viceroy of India, and then it is that time that he came into India. So, Lord Curzon's association with India began a long period ago, but basically his main contribution in governance of India began when he became the Viceroy of India. So, if we try to understand the major steps that has been taken in the Viceroyship of Lord Curzon, so basically he was a person who focused and emphasized upon efficiency in administration. And this we can understand from the statement that was given by him in 1900 when he said that the efficiency of administration is in my view a synonym for the contentment of the governed. That means more efficient the government is, the better is the contentment, higher is the contentment among the governed classes, that means the general masses. Later on, when he became Viceroy, he also created a separate province called as North-West Frontier Province, which is currently lying in the modern day Pakistan. This was a province that was based on the religion. Second, he also was responsible for sending an expedition to the then state of Tibet, and it was this expedition that set up this theme for development of further relationship between the Tibetan region and the Indian government. Further, he also is known for creating a separate police service in the administration of India, for the administration of India, and later on he also set up a very well known institute called as Archaeological Survey of India, whose main functions and whose main responsibility was to look after, study and restore the important heritage and historical monuments of India. So, these were some of the major steps that was taken under his viceroyship. In the early times when the Lord Curzon was acting as a Viceroy of India, he was praised upon among the colonial subjects. A lot of historians have noted down that his earlier contribution or his earlier decisions were very much praised upon by among the colonial subjects. So, what was the major decisions which caused him so, what are the major decisions that made Lord Curzon quite popular among the ruled classes? So, first of all, that decision is that he, in a lot of cases, lot of incidents, he was acting against the Westerners when there was a situation or these conditions of high profile racist attack against the Indians. So, he was favoring Indians and he did not want to encourage the racist kind of attack between by the Westerners against India. Then second step he took, that he disciplined the soldiers of the 9th Lancers when the soldiers were believed to be involved in a beating incidents of Indian cook in Sialkot, which caused the death of this particular cook. Third, he also is known for punishing white soldiers when the white soldiers raped a woman in Rangoon. And fourth, he also played a very important role. He tried to overturn the decision of the Calcutta court when the court has given a very meager sentences to the Assam tea manager when Assam tea manager was basically involved in killing of a coolie. So, these were the certain decisions that were taken in the early period of his viceroyship that caused this ruling subjects or colonial subject to praise Lord Curzon. However, as popular as he was in the beginning, later he became very unpopular as well and was very much disliked among the people. So, what were the reasons and what was the causes that caused a strong dislike against Lord Curzon? So, first decision that he took was again in 1899 when he passed the Calcutta Municipal Amendment Act. Now, the main reason why Calcutta Municipal Amendment Act was passed is basically to decrease the strength of elected members of Calcutta Corporation and increase the number of nominated members. That means we can say that the local people did not have that much power or local people did not have that much say in the working of Calcutta Corporation as the elected member, the number of elected members declined. Further, in year 1904, he took another unpopular decision where he passed the Indian Universities Act, and by passing of Indian Universities Act, now Calcutta University became totally under British rule or became, you can say, the control of British over Calcutta University is strengthened significantly. The third, in the same year, the third unpopular decision that he made was the passage of Indian Official Secrets Amendment Act. Then further, in year 1904, he is also responsible for passage of Indian Official Secrets Amendment Act, and the main reason behind passage of this act was to throttle the freedom of press in India. However, apart from these three unpopular decisions, the most unpopular decision why people disliked Lord Curzon was his decision to partition the Bengal. So, let us try to understand the Bengal partition. Basically, if we talk about before partition, the Bengal presidency was one of the largest territory of India and it used to consist of modern day states such as West Bengal, the present day Bangladesh, Bihar and parts of Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Assam. So, as you can see in the map, the Bengal presidency extended all the way from the central east part of India to the northeastern region of India, and overall it has a population of more than 80 million people. Further, in year 1905, Lord Curzon decided to partition the Bengal, and as a result of this partition, he partitioned the Bengal into two parts. The first part was East Bengal and also consisted of Assam, where we have a population of almost 38 million people who was largely Muslim in religion. Secondly, the partition was done where the western province that is called as Bengal, and here we have population of 55 million which was primarily Hindu. So, basically what we can say that the partition of Bengal was carried out by Lord Curzon in 1905 on the basis of religion. So, what is the rationale behind the partition of Bengal? So, we have two statements. The first statement or the official reason given for partition of Bengal was that Bengal presidency is very large in area, having a very huge population, and that is why it is very difficult for British to efficiently manage and administer it, and this is to certain extent was also true. However, the main reason which nationalists believe on which Bengal was partitioned is basically it was the example of divide and rule policy of British, where British were continuously seeing that Hindus and Muslims are continuously uniting against, forming a united front against the British rule, and that is why to break this collaboration, the partition of Bengal was done on the religious line, so it was an example of divide and rule policy. At the same time, the other reason why Lord Curzon wanted to divide the Bengal, because he was continuously seeing that the influence of educated class, the influence of intelligentsia, or we can say Bhadralok of Bengal, was quite rising with Calcutta as a capital, and that is why Lord Curzon thought that this can present future challenges to the British Empire. So one other reason was to weaken the influence of these educated classes in the eastern region of India. And overall, if you look at the partition of Bengal, that was also hinted by H.S. Risley, who was the Home Secretary at that time, and in 1904 he actually gave a statement that Bengal united is a power, Bengal divided will pull in several different ways. That means if Bengal is united, the whole force of Bengal will be against the British government, and if we divide the Bengal, then different religions, different groups, different areas of Bengal will pull in several different directions, and thus overall single front that is developing against British will be significantly weakened. So that was the main reason why partition of Bengal was carried out. However, this decision became very unpopular, and there has been significant consequences of this partition. So what are the major consequences that we can see that resulted out of the partition of Bengal? So first of all, people become very much angered by this decision, and they started a significant boycott of British goods and institutions. British goods means all the British goods were accumulated and gathered in the roads, and they were we can say put into fire. Apart from that, like British goods, we can say clothes were there, or any this kind of salt were there, or something like that was there. Then second, there was also boycott of institutions. That means schools, colleges, universities, as well as the law courts, all the institutions of British were totally boycotted. And after passage of Calcutta Resolution in year 1905, then the Swadeshi movement began, where the British goods has to be boycotted. At the same time, the Swadeshi good, that means the homemade goods or Indian made goods, had to be promoted and used by the population. So that also began one of the most important movement in the Indian freedom struggle, that is the Swadeshi movement. As a result of this partition, we can also say there has been an increase in unity among Hindus and Muslims, because they can clearly see that the partition of Bengal on religious line is basically one of the this step taken by British government to weaken the Hindu and Muslim unity. However, Bande Mataram, that was composed by Rabindranath Tagore, became a informal anthem of the Swadeshi movement, of this resistance against Bengal partition, and both Hindus and Muslims used to sing it together and march across the street. Not only that, in the young part or young population of the society, it caused very strong resentment, and we have development and setting up of lot of secret societies such as Anusilan Samiti of Bengal, as well as lot of revolutionary groups also start become active and increase their activities, where they believe that by using violence they can basically force the British government to overturn the decision of partition of Bengal. So we have a lot of bombing incidents as well. We have a lot of killing incidents where the shootouts of British officers were carried out. So these were the major consequences that Bengal witnessed just after the partition was announced. However, as this partition gathered more strength, what we can say has been the end result of this partition. So first of all, in year 1905 itself, just after the partition of Bengal, Lord Curzon basically lost the power struggle that he had with the then British, we can say the head of the British army, and he thus resigned and returned back to England. However, even after his return, as Bengal partition was carried out, the continuous protest against this partition went on, and as a result of this, almost 6 years later, somewhere in the year 1911, British government saw that the partition of Bengal and the protest related to this is not going to win out soon, and thus they decided to reunify Bengal. So reunification of Bengal is carried out by British government. However, at the same time, as I see that placing their capital at the Calcutta in the heartland of the nationalist sentiment can create several challenges, and that is why it was also decided at the same time that the capital of British Raj will be shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. So two important events has happened in 1911. The reunification of Bengal was carried out, and at the same time the British capital has been shifted from Kolkata to Delhi. So what we can say in conclusion about all these incidences and about the Lord Curzon. So overall, if we try to look at the Lord Curzon, of all the viceroys that has been in India, Lord Curzon is possibly the most criticized one because of several unpopular decisions that we have discussed he has taken, and he was also one of the more openly imperialist of viceroys. He basically was a strong proponent of imperialist tendencies of British government, and he was basically also a man who saw Britain's rule over India as critical for the survival of Britain's empire. And this we can understand from the statement that he gave somewhere in year 1900, where he clearly said that we could lose all our white settlement, all our dominions. That means, you know, that Britain dominion extended all the way from east to west in Africa, Asia, everywhere. So he said that we could lose all our dominions and still survive. However, if we lost India, our sun would sink to its setting, and that is why we can understand Lord Curzon played a very important role, and he did not wanted the nationalist tendencies in India to develop against Britain, and that is why his decisions were the decisions that he took was basically to decrease or basically to weaken the nationalist struggle against the British government. So that is all about Lord Curzon and his contribution. We also discussed about the modern day controversy. So that is all for today. Thank you very much.